See, right now you guys see the scriptures as Christian, and you can't perceive of them being Jewish. That's why you need to start seeing them as Jewish, as it tells you to do, which means you got to study the Jews if you're not going to listen to me.
And I was the ward mission leader for like 7 years. I was a gospel doctrine teacher. I was in the high council twice. I was a bishop for 5 years. You know, I really enjoyed being a bishop. There was a lot of things that you're not trained to do a lot of the things that you're forced to do. And I says, and if it is true that Joseph Smith was a polygamist, and then I stopped and I says, do you believe Joseph Smith was a polygamist? Yes, I do. And I went around all three of them, one at a time, and I pointed at each one of them. Do you believe? Yes. Do you? Yes. I said, okay, let the record show that you was asked. I cannot follow that. I cannot follow that. I said, because either Jesus and God appeared to Joseph Smith, and he is a prophet of God. He did not commit adultery. He did not force himself on younger women. He did not lie and cheat and steal and all the stuff that would have to go along with that model. I said, I can't follow that model. Or was it Brigham Young that model started at? And you got to pick. You can't. It isn't both. Either Joseph Smith was right or Brigham Young was right. And if it's Joseph Smith, quit telling the world that he was a polygamist, because I don't believe that. God wouldn't call a prophet of the restoration to that. And so, anyway, they said, well, do you teach other people? Are you going to teach other people this stuff? And I says, is it not written that if you know truth, you're to teach truth? And they just kind of shrugged. And I knew when they asked that question that was the one that was going to get me X'd, which to understand Isaiah and give it to us as a commandment. I said, I would do everything possible to teach that to my people. If I had to hire the best of the Hebrew scholars around the world, I would have them there teaching my people what he was saying. And I says, why is that not happening? This spring, when that meeting took place, we only met for about an hour and a half. And in that hour and a half, they says, well, what do you want us to do with your membership? And I says, it doesn't matter to me. I said, and 5 years ago, if you'd said that to me, if you'd asked me that, I'd have said, oh, well, let's take. But I said, you've lost me. You've lost me. The reason is because you are not teaching what Jesus wants us to learn. You're not teaching it, and you're not showing anybody how to do it. It's just not happening. So why would I want to be a member of this church? Verse 6 in chapter 1 says the whole vessel is sick, the head, the heart, and the feet. The head is the prophet, the heart is the seers, and the feet is the membership. And all of this is Isaiah telling what the condition of our leadership is in the church today. And that made me more sure about some of the early shenanigans in the church. And then as you read and understand more about what Isaiah is saying, you see the whole picture just unfolds in front of you. You go, holy moly. I've been reading these scriptures all these years. I didn't see this, but it's there. It's all there. That's what opened my eyes. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
The years rolled by. Everything unfamiliar. Except the smile of my never-aging friend.
This is not the Church of Emmanuel, Christ, of Latter-day Saints, of Joseph Smith. This is the Church of Jesus Christ. In the coming day, Jesus Christ will return to the earth as the millennial Messiah, or the second coming.
Travis Wayne Goodsall. The Book of Mormon, 1 Nephi, chapter 1, verse 2, says that we are an Egyptian Jewish religion. And so, for anybody to use a different religion to interpret the Book of Mormon would be stupid. Why would you do that? The Book of Mormon tells you how to interpret the Book of Mormon. And so we get to 1 Nephi chapter 14, where we're told about the great and abominable church. And in verse 9, the vision of Nephi has an angel saying, "And it came to pass that he said unto me, Look, and behold, that great and abominable church, which is the mother of abominations, whose founder is the devil. And he said unto me, Behold, there are save 2 churches only. The one is the church of the Lamb of God." That would be the Jewish church. Because the other is the great and abominable church of the devil. Wherefore, whoso belongeth not to the church of the Lamb of God belongeth to that great and abominable church, which is the mother of abominations. Seeing abominable, I'm adding great and abominable church because of verse 9. I don't see great and abominable in verse 10, Travis. You're making things up. You're twisting the scriptures. Are you really that illiterate? And she is the whore of all the earth. And so, the first vision, Mormons read in verse 1 that the name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And they never bother to go to the Joseph Smith papers for the original documents. It's a trap. Oh no, Travis is going to trap us. He's going to tell us the truth and destroy our faith. See the video yesterday? Probably not. YouTube's attacking me. Packer. Telling the truth destroys faith. Yep. So, Joseph Smith is told in a vision, important to understand vision, not literal history, in which he is told by the personage, who he does not give a name, but gives a description. I see a match with the Egyptian deity. And is told that he must not join Christianity because they're all wrong, abominable, hey, a pattern match, and corrupt. The great and abominable church is Christianity as a whole, all wrong. And so the first creed, which he talks about, is Constantine's creed, that was created, not creatio ex nihilo, not a transition and then the creed is just an affirmation of what already was known. No. Created, day one, never existed before, first time, the birth, the start, the creation. 325 CE. Their Bible scriptures that they compiled together were written before their creation. They stole the documents of the Jews. They turned them Christian. They turned them into literal histories. They replaced the Jewish Christ. Abominable. And so they turned it into literal histories for a chronological order. This is important factual information to know, to understand what Joseph Smith is explaining here in 1838. Not Howard Caray's 1841 version. So we need to thank the mission president out in England, the Richards guy, who made the pamphlet using the 1838 history. But Brigham Young still didn't want to have it published during his reign in ministry. It was John Taylor who first had it published, and then it was later incorporated into the canon of scriptures. See what's going on? So now you have a contradiction. Is verse 1 the correct name of the church? The answer is no, if you were to simply do your research in the Joseph Smith papers. It was Willard Richards who added Jesus Christ to the name of the church. And so, knowing this, these facts, in 3rd Nephi, chapter 27, Jesus, is it Christian Jesus or Jewish Jesus? Jewish. Pay attention. Have you not read the scriptures, verse 5, which say you must take upon you the name of Christ, which is my name? We assume it's Jesus, because Jesus is here talking about it. For by this name shall ye be called at the last day. And so section 119 must be true. Knowing that section 119 was never a part of Joseph Smith's doctrines. Never in his scriptures. Never any of his speeches. It all of a sudden magically appeared the final year before Brigham Young died in his last Doctrine and Covenants edition. And so, verse 8, howbeit my church, save it be called in my name. For if a church be called in Moses' name, interesting, he's the Jewish symbol of the Jewish Christ. Deuteronomy 18, verse 15. A man, like Moses, is the Jewish Christ. Interesting how he would use Moses and nobody else's name here. Then it be Moses' church. Or if it be called in the name of a man, then it be the church of a man. But if it be called in my name, then it is my church. If it so be, a clarification, that they are built upon my gospel. So people can use the correct name for their church, but not be of the same gospel. But it's in the center of our name. Oopsies. Oopsies. The two churches are the Jewish church, pre-Babylonian captivity, Jewish Egyptians, and Christianity. So, Joseph Smith versus Brigham Young. Joseph Smith, Jewish. Brigham Young, Christian. Which one's abominable? And unfortunately, Mormons refuse to make the distinction. And so they merged the two gods together. You cannot serve two masters. Either you will love the one and hate the other, or hate the one and love the other. Something like that. I mean, I could have looked it up real quick. But serve two masters. 0. Oh my God. Serve two masters. Matthew 6. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. You cannot mix your religions. So, to merge the two together, you technically hate both. If you say that Joseph Smith and Brigham Young are one and the same, you hate Joseph Smith instantly, because he's not Jewish, or he's not Christian. But to say that Brigham Young is from Joseph, you despise him. This is why those who don't like what this church claims and leave do. They despise Brigham Young and Joseph Smith because they were serving two masters. Serving means both loving and fearing. This is idol worship. You can't do that. And so you've got to be hot or cold, not lukewarm. There's another one for you. There's another one. Otherwise he'll spew you out of his mouth. What are you doing in his mouth? Okay? So there's the introduction of doctrine for you. I was recommended a Christian podcast. The woman goes by Clarity. She's apparently too young to know of the evil that has been created by that word from psychologists. Psychologists are evil. They repeat lies and tell people believe their lies. And then there's drugging and conversion therapy and all kinds of other tortures and abuses similar to a cult group, and that's why they're the ones who came out with how to recognize a cult group, just not them. Don't recognize them with their own bite model. Exmo. You got conned, Exmo Lex. You got conned. You should have known about the beam and mote. Also, from Scripture. From Matthew. Jewish, not Christian. And so to help you understand where they abuse that word from, we need to go back to The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. In the movie version in the 60s, I think it may have been 1960, not 1968, which would have been Fahrenheit 451 for the other author. He has the guy get into his time machine and go forward. He is able to see across the way to the shop window where the mannequins are doing a fashion show try-on for him. Which is why I love that movie. It's among my top favorites. Weena. And he stops during World War I first. He gets out. He sees Philby's son, who's all grown up. He's not wanting to realize he's gone forward in time and the consequences of that, but nonetheless, he catches on. And the air raid sirens are going off, and Philby is saying all clear because he's the last one to go into the bomb shelter. And so he's a little shocked that some guy is still above ground, not underground in the shelter, all clear. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The Morlocks. They are the psychologists of the show. And so he realizes that he doesn't want to be in this time period, war. He just came back, or he just got out of the time period where they were in a war, even though it was not in their country at the time. And so he goes back into his time machine and goes forward again, and now he comes to World War II. And again, he sees Philby's son. Philby is kind of taken back. Wait a minute, you're the same guy. You haven't aged. And again, you have air raid sirens for another war, and all clear to be the last one in the bomb shelter. So he goes back in, and then another war, World War III, in a coming day, in which the home is hit, but he's protected because of the land that covers him, and then he goes further into time until he can get out of the land. He's not sure if he'll survive, and eventually the rocks wear down, and he finds Weena and sees that a siren goes off, and everybody is a zombie creature, and they march towards the entrance to the underground tunnel system. And he's asking, what's going on? And the guy tells him, it's all clear. Everything is all clear. And he finds out that they're being bred as cattle to be eaten by the Morlocks underground. Psychology 101. And so that's where they manipulated you during the 90s and 2000s with clarity. And there was even an organization that named themselves Clarity. They got busted by the law. And so anytime you hear somebody use clarity and you attach that to Christianity, as this little girl is doing, you know she's been brainwashed. But nonetheless, she was interviewing a former Mormon who apparently got excommunicated. So he's not a former Mormon, he's excommunicated Mormon. Exmo. And his name is Mickey Young, and he's a direct descendant of Brigham Young. And I had to search through the over hour-long video to find the information I wanted from it. It took time. She's a Christian. She embraces clarity. So it's not clear. Nevertheless, he's excommunicated over polygamy because he stood in the presence of 3 other leaders for which he was excommunicated, asking them, do they believe that Joseph Smith was a polygamist? They all said yes. They're merging the 2 religions. He came to learn for himself that there is no way that Joseph Smith could have become a polygamist, when Brigham Young was the one who clearly was the one who practiced it. But he does admit that he never really studied his scriptures, because he talks about his paradigm shift with the book of Isaiah. See, the church indoctrinates us with the lessons, repeating them now over and over to accept what they tell us as true, that Isaiah is a prophecy about Jesus. Well, Isaiah is a Jewish author. Technically, a Jewish author wrote his book called Isaiah about a guy named Isaiah, put him in the time period of 700 BCE, prior to and during the Assyrian attack. So Dead Sea Scrolls, Qumran Community, they wrote it. Linguistic science. Don't pull an abominable Christianity trick called anachronism. They were the ones who turned Isaiah into literal history from the Assyrian period, and thus put it in chronological order as such. Knowing this fact, you can then say, no, I can't do that. I have to treat Isaiah as a separate, distinct book, as prophecy and revelation in the learning of the Jews about the Jewish Christ, with the Jewish name of the church. Joseph Smith's name of the church was the Church of the Latter-day Saints. You, Mormons, are Christ's under Joseph Smith's church. Originally, it was the Church of Christ. Joseph Smith was the Christ. Jewish, not Christian. And so, Mickey says he studied Isaiah because he knows very clear that Jesus told us to study Isaiah. Seriously? Well, he says he's never really studied his scriptures. And apparently never even the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon tells us to study Isaiah. Study words Isaiah. Oh, come on. Isaiah. Seriously? Words Isaiah. Okay, 1 Nephi 15. And I did rehearse unto them the words of Isaiah, who spoke concerning the restoration of the Jews. Not Christians? Second Nephi chapter 6. I will speak unto you concerning things which are and which are to come. Wherefore I will read unto you the words of Isaiah. And now the words which I shall read are they which Isaiah spake concerning all the house of Israel. They may be likened unto you, for you are the house of Israel. And there are many things which have been spoken by Isaiah, which may be likened unto you, because you are the house of Israel. 2 Nephi 11. Now I, Nephi, write more of the words of Isaiah, for my soul delighteth in his words, for I will liken his words unto my people, and I will send them forth unto all my children. For he verily saw my Redeemer. He names the Redeemer, even as I have seen him. And now I write some of the words of Isaiah, that you, whoso of my people shall see these words, may lift up your hearts and rejoice for all men. Now these are the words, and ye may liken them unto you and to all men. Whoso readeth this? He did not need to go to the New Testament. And then chapter 12, the word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Now, but there is no Judah and Jerusalem. They're destroyed. Second Nephi 25. Now I, Nephi, do speak somewhat concerning the words which I have written, which have been spoken by the mouth of Isaiah. For behold, Isaiah spake many of the things which were hard for many of my people to understand. For they know not concerning the manner of prophesying among the Jews. Wherefore, hearken, O my people which are of the house of Israel, and give ear unto my words, for because the words of Isaiah are not plain unto you, nevertheless they are plain unto all those that are filled with the spirit of prophecy. Whoso readeth this right now? Prophecy. My soul delighteth in the words of Isaiah, for I came out from Jerusalem. Apparently you didn't. Did you forget that you didn't? You were at the top of the Red Sea when you were born, September 23rd, 586 BCE, or 597, 597 BCE. Third Nephi 16, verse 17, and then the words of the prophet Isaiah shall be fulfilled, which say, Thy watchmen shall lift up thy voice, with the voice together they shall they sing, for they shall see eye to eye when the Lord shall bring again Zion. Third Nephi 20. But Jesus is in their midst telling them this. What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, right. Christianity has a second coming. Judaism has a one and only one coming. Third Nephi 20. Yea, remember that I spake unto you, and said that when the words of Isaiah should be fulfilled, behold, they are written, ye have them before you, therefore search them. There's the commandment to search the words of Isaiah. 3 Nephi 23. And now behold, I say unto you that you ought to search these things. Yea, a commandment I give unto you, that ye may search them diligently, for great are the words of Isaiah. So yes, that could be what he's talking about, that Jesus commanded us to study the words of Isaiah. He didn't really say where he got it from. But Matthew tells you over and over again, the words of the prophet Isaiah said, the words of the prophet Isaiah said, the words of the prophet Isaiah said. Except that he leaves out the name Isaiah. Bit of a problem. Bit of a problem. And for those of you who've been following my channel, know very well, Isaiah, Jesus, same name. They just switched the two Hebrew words around. And so it's not Jesus as a literal history character. It's the word of Isaiah turned into a prophetic story. That's what Matthew is. Thus, the Book of Mormon. But it's a different version. It's likening Isaiah's prophecies unto the Nephites. That's the difference. Still the learning of the Jews and its construction. And so he talks about, Mickey talks about how the church is not teaching Isaiah. And for him, he thinks, the church should go all in to get Hebrew scholars to come and teach Mormons about Isaiah. We do have Avraham Gileadi, who says he's the expert on Isaiah. But again, because of the church's threats, he now merges Jesus and Isaiah together as one. You can't do that. He hates the Jews. The church threatened him with the heretic taking away of everything to control him. That's what the church does. If you do not accept the claims of this church, they hurt you, they punish you, they cyber terrorize you. This is why they're abominable. They don't want to give you agency. They don't want to tell you the truth. They want to control you. And they control you just like they did to Mickey. But he said, I'm out. He was able to confound those guys because they chose Brigham over Joseph. And so he left the church, got excommunicated, because he stood up for Joseph Smith. Avraham caved and sided with Brigham Young, betrayed the Jews, which is a sad tale, because Avraham Gileadi joined the church having studied the Jews, born during World War II, wanted to learn all about them, learned Hebrew, was in the Jerusalem library. The librarian recommended the Book of Mormon because it talks about Jews. Anybody who's literate knows this. And so he reads it and goes, wow, this is awesome. It's Jewish. Gets baptized in the waters of Shalom. Comes to Utah. The ones who claim the book. And this was before the subtitle, Another Testament of Jesus Christ. He was like Vincenzo di Francesca, who was preaching the Jewish word to his congregation. And then he was put up before the first presidency in the Quorum of the 12. Burn the book, Vincenzo. I will not burn the book. You can't merge the two together. It can't be done. Either you accept the Book of Mormon as it says it is, Jewish, or you despise it and call it Christian. You deny it and call it Christian. Same with Joseph, our founder. Either you call him Jewish as Messiah ben Joseph, the Jewish Christ, or you reject him by calling him Christian. You have to choose. Are you a part of the great and abominable church of Jesus Christ? Or are you of the Jewish church of the Lamb? Because you're supposed to be looking for Emmanuel, the Jewish Messiah, ben David, the man like Moses. Which, the Book of Mormon, 2 Nephi, chapter 3, verse 5, after talking about Messiah ben Joseph, who is Joseph Smith, as we all know it, he then says, Joseph is to prepare the way for the coming of Messiah ben David to be manifested unto members of Joseph Smith's church, but in the latter days. Right there, plain and precious. Talks about Hanukkah after that. And so, section 103, talking about the redemption of Zion, verse 16, here it is. Therefore, I will raise up. That Joseph, he can't stop plagiarizing, can he? Deuteronomy 18, verse 15, the man like Moses. So is this going to be about the man like Moses? I don't know. Let's find out and read. Reading, it's fundamental. Unto my people, Mormons. Unto Mormons a child is given. Unto Mormons a child is born. And the government shall be upon his shoulders. Oops. Who shall lead Mormons like as Moses? How could you deny this, Mormons? My ocular cavities are leaking. He still thinks Jesus is real, but knows and understands that we are supposed to be teaching, going all in. As I read to you, it's a commandment to study the words of Isaiah, because he's talking about us right now, about the coming of our Christ. But he doesn't make that connection. And so, part of what he also got in trouble for was preaching what he was beginning to learn about Isaiah. comes from chapter 1, verse 6. So technically it starts verse 5, because you can see the parentheses there. And it goes to verse 9. Plug up the leak. Denialism works. Why should ye be stricken anymore? You got to go to verse 1 to understand the context. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. Why should ye be stricken anymore? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head, there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. Ugh. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and they that come shall burn you. Christianity. Even Islam comes from Christianity, even though they're Babylonian. Allah is Jesus, Trinity. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate, the abomination of desolation, as overthrown by strangers. Now do you see where Malachi got it from? Daniel, where he got it from? Isaiah. The daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant. The Church of the Lamb is small compared to the Church of Jesus Christ. We should have been as Sodom, and we would have been like unto Gomorrah. And it was not homosexuality that destroyed them. It was neglecting the poor. Tithing settlement time, Nelson, 13th. Pay up. Pay up. Pay up. And so he understood this to refer to, and he got it correct, as he applied it to our day with the church. He understands that the church is sick. The prophet is the head, sick. The heart, faint. Claims that's the apostles. That's somewhat wrong. The president with all of the quorum of the 12 are the head. They tell you themselves they are the head. And so the rest of the body are the members of the church, the daughters of Zion. And this conforms with other scriptures, which I wrote down. Ephesians 5:23, Jesus is the head, the membership are the church, the body. Comparing the two together. And then you have Colossians 1:18 and 24. Again, Jesus as the head, the membership as the church, the body. using that same analogy because of that passage right there from Isaiah. And so the ex-bishop is correct for the most part. That the leadership is sick, but the membership are diseased and sick because of the head being sick. They have wounds, bruises, putrefying sores, because the church neglects the poor. So I'm kind of helping him with better explanation of Isaiah. And so thus, this is why the danger that I've been going over with you, the abomination of desolation, which for the Jews was understood as the taking over of the temple and its rituals with abominable churches' rituals in place of it, and the starting of the practice of prostitution from the Greeks. The Romans added men to the prostitution of the great and abominable practice in the Jerusalem temple. The Romans didn't get into the temple to do that, but they destroyed the temple on 9/11, 9th Ave. And so, yes, that's the difference that he was talking about. Joseph Smith did not practice polygamy, did not rape little girls, did not commit adultery. It is Brigham Young, and only Brigham Young, who claims, yes, Joseph did, and that's why we do it. That's why we practice polygamy. That's why we rape little girls. That's why we commit adultery. The abomination of desolation. It was Brigham Young who took it upon himself to alter the temple rituals, to add underwear, to add the covenant paths with blood atonement. Not Joseph Smith, who was just washing and anointing to become hereafter Christ's. Taking upon yourself the name of Christ to become joint heirs with Christ, thus to be the church of the latter-day saints, in preparation for the baby Mormon who would be the Christ. So the sacrament is partaking of the body and blood of Joseph Smith, which was shed for you, Mormons, that in the future, which is right now, would come the Mormon Christ, prophesied by Isaiah. That a Mormon couple would give birth to him. Think unsexy thoughts. Think unsexy thoughts. Just turn it off. Turn off the floodwaters. Okay. Real simple stuff. And so even at a basic level, Mickey got it. And he did the right thing. He kept his honor and integrity. But he's still not there yet. Because now he's Christianizing himself when he should know better that he's not Christian. that Christianity is all wrong, abominable, and corrupt. And that's what little clarity does not understand. Does not understand. Okay, I think that covers it. But yeah, a new paradigm. He talks about how with this new understanding, studying Isaiah, he goes back to Isaiah and he sees things differently. And he can't go back to the way he once saw Isaiah anymore. That means he's had a paradigm shift. And this comes from Plato's allegory of the cave, which again, heretic brings that up as well. But heretic, he becomes a heretic choosing. I did the video. Watch the video. I explain it. So yeah. See, right now you guys see the scriptures as Christian, and you can't perceive of them being Jewish. That's why you need to start seeing them as Jewish, as it tells you to do, which means you got to study the Jews. If you're not going to listen to me, and I've got that video planned to go over the Jewishness in the Book of Mormon that teaches you about the Jews, so that you can understand the Book of Mormon as it teaches you the Jewish learning and understanding and interpretation. It's there, you just have to study your Book of Mormon. You were told, study it, or you're under condemnation. So, alrighty, we're done. We're almost at an hour anyway. So many videos, so little time.